Well, Nigeria 2015 studios here. Channels Television are looking at elections that will be holding in the country tomorrow. 29 states, and of course, 7 of them not having governorship elections, but some others going into the state assemblies elections. And in terms of security, we have also highlighted the importance of having to maintain the peace that has been from the presidential election. So many security chiefs have been speaking on this particular one. Don't forget that in the course of this program, we'll also be speaking with the Inspector General of Police. But for now, the Kaduna State Commissioner of Police, Umar Shehu, has assured citizens that the security personnel have been deployed across all the local governments in that particular state ahead of tomorrow's elections, that potential troublemakers surely will be punished if you're caught.
We're ever ready, and this time around we're getting more enforcement from Abuja, because there are some places that election is not to be conducted, and with such we're going to get more enforcement of personnel, and I assure you this time around it is going to be most peaceful by God's grace.
Well, Malcolm, you said that's just for Kaduna State, but it would seem as if every commissioner has been speaking on this particular one.
Oh, you do know he's not the only one who's been speaking. The Osun State Commissioner of Police has also been speaking. Now, his name is Valu Ntomchukwu, and he's assured residents of their safety, and he's stressed the need for strict adherence to electoral laws.
Been able to give me an assessment of the presidential election, and some where there are lapses, he has reviewed them and ready to make amends to ensure that it goes out smoothly. And police-wise, we are on ground. It's going to be a professional conduct where we have to restrict the movement of everybody. Nobody, I repeat, nobody will be allowed to move with his aides, armed aides, whether police or military or any aid at all.
Well, I always like it when police chiefs they talk, but the people are also important in all of this. And we were also in Oyo State. We spoke with a cross-section of Nigerians, trying to pick, from them what they think that this particular election will mean for them, looking at the presidential election and see if they have any expectations for tomorrow's elections. Let's hear them.
About the coming election, actually I just want to thank God first for the presidential election that we just had. It was peaceful and successfully, and I pray that the way people troop out to vote during the presidential election, the Senate and the House of Rep, they should do the same thing and use their PVC to vote whoever they want in power to pilot the Oyo State for another 4 years.
What we experienced last time, as in the presidential election, we could see that everybody, people came out en masse to vote without being forced, without violence. So I expect similar thing to happen in this forthcoming election, as in the April 11 for the gubernatorial. We should just go out there, cast our vote, and keep calm. The peace and the change that will be experienced, I believe it will last longer.
Well, gentlemen, we've heard them, and it would seem as if everyone is ready for this big moment. And for Marquez's question, I'd like to bring it to Mr. Ogumadu. She's still asking that question. We haven't heard from you on the possibility of having these elections for state assemblies as well as even the governorship held different days.
Well, I think that the discretion is that of the umpire itself to determine how the elections are slated. But I think that the point that Maokwe is trying to drive home is that, look, is there a sense in which the arrangements of this election affects the enthusiasm or apathy of the people? How does it to what extent does the results of a presidential election, for instance, affect the elections of the governors and state houses of assembly? Now, at the end of the day, whoever is prepared for an exam will pass it, whether the exam is conducted on a Monday or on a weekend. And I think that by far more important is the quality and content of the political parties that we have. Look, let's even take example of what is going on. Without sounding pessimistic on that note, would you all agree that there was shortage of debates in this election? For which reason some of us are quite excited about, if you like, what the people are already calling the Channels TV revolution, where the Nigerians have, got by far more than what the political parties are offering them in terms of what the issues are and the perspectives to those issues. Now,
let me just add to that. Let me assure you that political parties, as we know them, have been outpaced by people's intellect and expectancy levels. We are seeing political parties that are not actually giving people what people are expecting. And if you want a political party that will float tomorrow at all levels, then you must be able to put together a political party that will meet people in thought and intellect.
The response I seem to be getting is,
Yes.
is one that tends towards political parties taking responsibility. That's the onus being on political parties to come up with something they can sell to the electorate. But I asked this question based on focus on candidates. So for instance, if you separate, say, the presidential and National Assembly polls, and you hold presidential elections on one day and National Assembly polls on another, maybe a week after, then there will be some searchlight on the candidates who are vying for that position, in the sense that people will be interested to know who exactly are we voting for on the National Assembly election days. You don't think so?
Accepted. But let me assure you that if you put one day in between the two events,
That might not have much effect, really.
it doesn't really change the fact of whether or not people will scrutinize candidates. What I'm telling you is that at the campaigning level, at the level at which people are coming out to say, this is what I want to do, or this is where I aspire to go, you should come forward to the table with stuff. We are looking today, Nigerian politics, the futuristic parties we are looking at are parties that will have content and not form. Right now we have parties that have form. One particular one has tended towards the content aspect. The other one did not, and it paid dearly for it. So going forward, I tell you that those other 12, we had 14 political parties, right? So we're looking at those other 12. Don't be surprised if those other 12 come as underdogs and do a hard trick on these two stereotyped, old-fashioned contenders.
it is on that score that I also would wish to emphasize the need for an effective, credible, and formidable opposition. Now, what has made
Very quickly.
Yes, what has made this exercise a context is because there was indeed an opposition. And opposition does not mean just one party opposition. All of these other parties that he refers to as the underdog could indeed come out and then begin from henceforth, not just to sell what they have, but to also dramatize their capacity to bring it to fruition.
It's not about
that
cash
way,
anymore.
That way, you might not see PDP or APC as a dominant party in the next election.
Well, when we come back, because we'll be going to our news studios for the news at noon, we'll be looking at some of this and see how evil it can be politically to gravitate into a one-party state, since you've just brought up the essence of having a formidable opposition. That will be after the break. But now we'd like to say, well, Nigeria 2015 Studios is going on a short one. Don't leave us yet, because we're not done yet. Is the elections here in the country, Nigeria, 29 states out of the 36 states of the Federation are going to the elections, minus the FCT, that won't be having no elections tomorrow. Stay with us.